Hey you. If you've been alive in any capacity over the last, say, 10 or so years, you've heard of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's easily one of, if not the biggest movie franchise ever. And I mean, Marvel has some of the most recognizable characters in pop culture. You know, you've got Iron Man, you've got Spider-Man, you've got the Amazing Bulk. You've got the Amazing Hulk, and just an endless amount of other characters that your uncle's probably gonna freak out about when they finally put in a movie. Marvel is easily one of the most popular things ever, not to mention their many games and their Library of Alexandria filling amount of comic books. Everybody knows about them, right? Like, if you try to tell me that you have not heard of Marvel before, I won't believe you, because it's just everywhere. And with this popularity comes a lot of money. Like their most recent movie, Kraven the Hunter, for example, cost them $110 million to make, and that wasn't even one of their good ones. Did anybody even watch this movie? I've kind of checked out of Marvel movies ever since Ant-Man Quantumania. That was like if a trash can took a shit. That movie sucked. Anyways, with this massive brand recognition and amount of money comes ripoffs, right? People who want a little piece of the pie. And you see it everywhere. You see it in toys, action figures, you see it in clothes, you see it in knickknacks, and unfortunately, you also see it in movies. To be completely candid, I was doing general research for a Marvel movie ripoffs video that I thought could be kind of fun, and then I stumbled upon this gem of a movie called The Amazing Bulk. While I was looking at it and looking over to see if it'd be worth it, something unlocked in my brain and I realized I had to show it to you guys because oh my god. I genuinely cannot describe how bad this movie is. I've never seen a movie so like this one that I can't even describe it. Like I can't even think of words here to describe it before we start the movie. This is a one-of-a-kind cinema experience, I dare say. The Godfather is like a shitty Netflix show compared to this masterpiece of a movie. And I just felt like I needed to bless your eyes with it. So enough stalling, let's go watch it and prepare for your lives to change forever. We start off with this fake Universal logo, and a fake 20th Century logo, and a fake Paramount logo. Okay, we're finally into the movie, sorry. We open on a dark and stormy night as we follow this lady down the street. We don't really know much yet, but she hears a cat, so she goes down the street to investigate. All of a sudden, a mugger comes up and just blasts this girl. You know, he's like, oh, why don't you try this? And then he just shoots her. I don't really know why. He didn't really ask for any money. Who is that? Who is that? Okay, I think this is the Bulk. We don't really know yet because we get hit with a credit screen. I love that they put the credits at the beginning of the movie because they knew people wouldn't want to watch till the end. We get this sick-ass cop transition where this car flies in and the cops show up to investigate and they see this like purple goo. They're pretty confused as to what it is, so they continue with their investigation because, you know, what's with the goo? I don't know. The acting throughout this entire movie is just, oh, it's phenomenal.
I never saw purple blood before.
Yeah.
They really like to do this weird transition thing for each shot where it's just some random transition and then we get to a new scene. It's probably because they couldn't afford any actual B-roll, but we get to these two doctors that are like in a lab, I think. I don't know. They're arguing over how their tests are failing on this rat. They're also talking game. Apparently this guy, Hank, is planning on marrying Hannah, and keep that in mind because that's definitely going to matter. Anyways, they're worried because of a time crunch with the general, who is in fact a real general, and these guys are actually top secret military scientists. To that point, they are working on a serum to enhance the human body in what looks like a high school laboratory. Couldn't have found a different scene? I don't know, whatever. All of a sudden, as they're arguing, the serum that they put in the rat fucking disintegrates it. It's just gone. 1 second there's a rat, the next second there's no rat. Right after this happens, the girl Hank is gonna marry, Hannah, shows up and starts talking to them. You may be wondering, how did she get into this top secret lab so freely if these guys are really secret military scientists? And you'll find out soon, I think. Hank and Hannah are talking and they decide to leave, so they head out in their clip art car and we get them running in the park. Look at how joyful they are. It's so joyful. They end up in this gazebo and start talking about having children. I don't know, but they have this really heartfelt conversation about life and marriage before he heads back to the lab because, you know, he's still got a long day at work. Sorry, Hannah. Our relationship can wait. I have more rats to explode. Quick side note here when we come back, just watch the rat for a little bit. They did zero layering. It is on top of everything. I just think that's really funny. After Hank gets back, we get this science montage. There's so much science. Lava lamp, look, science, science. We finish our science montage and we get this little bottle of Kool-Aid that I guess they made, and they inject it into the rat. And by some miracle, it actually worked. No, it just combusts. Sorry, no more rat. Hank is super distraught. He's about to break. You know, he looks like Jack Nicholson here, but luckily he calms down last second and the scene ends. Cool. He drinks his transition cup and we cut to later in the night where he goes to dinner at Hannah's house. Also, look at this fountain. I just think it's kind of funny. It's just clipping. I guess they didn't crop it right. Anyways, he gets to the door and we find out his boss, the general, you know, the general guy of the military, is his girlfriend's father.
General Darwin, sir, I would be honored if you would allow me your daughter's hand in marriage.
He rings the doorbell and Hannah starts coming to the door. It took her a bit though because she's watching the weather and the NASDAQ on her TV back there. And while they're busy talking out there, we cut over to the father, who is a character.
I hate dust.
I'm gonna refer to him as the general from now on because it makes more sense than the father. But the general comes out and Hank tries to say hi and tries to pop the big question to the father, you know, can I please marry your daughter? But, you know, since he's also the general and his boss, all he wants is results of the lab. He totally just doesn't even let Hank finish his sentence. They eventually go into the house and Hank and the general go into the world's largest wine cellar. Like, Jesus Christ, man. And when he asks the general for his daughter's hand in marriage, he says Hank has to give out better results from the lab before he can marry her. Can you imagine dating your boss's daughter? Hi, yes. Good evening, sir. I know this might be a bit of a shock, but, you know, your daughter and I have been going on for a really long time, and I'd love to marry your daughter.
Are you crazy? You've only sold 3 houses this year. You need to sell at least 5 more before you'd even have a chance of dating my daughter, you piece of shit. I should fire you right now.
And scene. That was me reenacting what would happen if you asked your boss to date their daughter, but you're also a realtor, because I thought it'd be more interesting if you were a realtor. We get another transition to somewhere, I guess it's a castle, but we meet Dan Schneider and his lady. This guy is named Dr. Klove, an evil German scientist who is evil and German.
This table has been in my family.
And his wife, Mistress Lady, who I don't think they ever say her name, but she's here too. She's being a little promiscuous in front of the guards, and she sets her shit on Love's table, which makes him a little grumpy. He starts yelling about his antique table, and I just want to say, why did they CG the table? Guys, it's a table with like lipstick and just like random shit on it. That could not have been that hard to do in real life for a shot. I feel like CGing it was just weirder. I don't know. And more expensive. Anyways, she starts getting mad, saying that she's been promiscuous in front of the guards because he has ED. Yes, that's actually a part of the story, by the way. That's not me making a joke. He gets mad that she is gyrating in front of the guards and they start arguing, you know? He gets up, he goes over to the guards, he starts yelling at him. He's like, stop looking at my wife. And one of them taunts him like this. And then pretends that he didn't taunt him. Klove obviously saw it because he was like a foot away. The dude, they were like this far apart from each other. Like, how would he not see that? Being upset by this, you know, he pulls out his laser gun and fucking blasts the guard. So the guard is dead. I guess this scene is just to show that Klove is like evil and bad and kind of fucked up and evil and German. Anyways, after this, Klove and his lady start walking away, making a bunch of sexual innuendos, but keep in mind, he canonically has ED and makes multiple statements that he can't get it up. So obviously this is an innuendo, and they're gonna do something else when they get over there. But it's just so weird. He's like, would you like something hard? Ooh. And I'm like, no, I would not. No, I would not. Anyways, they keep going with this. They keep making more innuendos and they sit down in this room, but I can't focus on what they're saying because we got fucking Beethoven and a monkey with a rocket in the background. And I just want to mention, this monkey, I have used this specific monkey in videos before and in other shit that I've done. Because if you just go on Google and you look up CG monkey GIF, you will get tons of versions of this monkey, which I don't know. It was just kind of like a worlds collide moment where I was like, I know where they got that. I know where they got that stupid little monkey. Back to the story though. Apparently they were making innuendos about shooting off rockets. So when he was like, would you like something hot and big? He was actually talking about a rocket that he was going to shoot at the White House. Fair enough. But all of a sudden, he shoots off that rocket, and holy shit, she just blew up the Institute of German Scientists. Every single German scientist is dead. Gone, just like that. I can't believe they all worked in the same building. They keep talking about sex, and she says, "Oh, do it again for me, sweetheart." And he shoots off another rocket, right? And you know, I expect him to blow up like another German scientist building. Maybe there's a second one for the other half of Germany's scientists. He proceeds to blow up every major location on the planet. They're all gone. Like, they're all gone. There's like a 3-minute scene where they just pan over an aerial shot of every single major monument on the planet. And for some reason, when they end this like 3-minute sequence, they blow up the St. Louis Arch. Why the Arch? Like, somebody working on this movie had to have had a very specific grudge against St. Louis because, again, why the Arch? We transition to America. You can tell because the shot is just a giant American flag. And okay, thank God. We're back with Hank and Hannah, a story that I can actually follow a little bit. They're walking around this fair, and in the middle of Hank trying to pop the big question, Hannah goes, "Oh my God, a roller coaster!" As if she hasn't been in a carnival, like, theme park place this entire time. Did she not see it before? Was she just like staring at the ground the whole time and looked up and was like, "Oh my God, we're at a theme park. Heck, this is amazing." Did it like appear in front of her? Like, was there just not a roller coaster and then all of a sudden roller coaster? Because if that is the case, she probably shouldn't get on it. That sounds like some creepypasta shit. Anyways, they get on the roller coaster and we get 30 full seconds of uncut roller coaster. It's literally just them going, "Yay, whoa, whoa, wee, whoa," for like, it's more than 30 seconds. It's like 2 minutes. Luckily though, to soothe the pain of watching 2 minutes of people on a roller coaster, we get the sickest transition I've ever seen. Watch this. Just watch this. So yeah, this transitions to them in a subway and headed back home for the night. I guess they were done with the roller coaster and he finally pops the question. Or so we thought. A thief shows up. He takes Hank's wallet and I just want to say, this guy is terrifying.
Why don't you give it to me before I rattle your ears? Give it to him.
I jumped in my seat a little when he yelled. He almost takes Hank's ring. God, saying takes Hank's cohesively is harder than I thought it would be. He almost takes Hank's ring, but Hank fights back. "Prepare to get your ass kicked, you little thief." Okay, so he pistol whipped him and then he ran away. I guess Hank's not very strong. Later in the night, I guess they're headed home again. We cut to the sickest car ever. I guess Hank got an upgrade. Didn't he drive like a completely different car earlier in the movie? Whose car is this? No, actually he probably crashed the other one because he's driving like a fucking maniac. Look at this. Anyways, Hank somehow drives them home and they make it back to Hannah's house. And look, they fixed the fountain. It's not clipping this time. I don't know why they didn't do the same thing for the first shot, but whatever. Hank, riddled with failure tonight, tells Hannah that he's gonna go back to the lab because he needs something to go right for him. Old Hank is down on his luck and he needs something to go right. But you know what this means? We get more science. Yes! We get more science. He decides to make this purple goo. He puts it into a plant and it revives the plant immediately. Hank has made a significant scientific breakthrough. He made the key to life itself. He just revived that plant. But it's been too long since the army's gotten any updates from him. This isn't going to be enough. He needs to inject it into something bigger so he can get better results. You know, like maybe a rat or like a dog or something. No, he just immediately injects himself. He's like, "You know what? I need bigger results." Why? Why would he do that? What happened to all the rats? Why did he do this? I don't know, man. All I do know is that he turns purple. He starts transforming before our eyes, as you can tell by them chroma keying all of the images to be purple. They didn't even change just the organs. It was just the entire image that they put on the screen. But we get the bulk. Also, I just love the fact that you can very clearly tell that the transition storm thing is just stock footage of like a giant tornado that they just kind of scaled down. And the worst part is we don't even get to see the bulk yet. We cut away to the exact same street from earlier, down to the rain droplet B-roll shot that they have, and Hank starts heading down the exact same alley, and we notice it's the night of that original thief that attacked the woman. The beginning was a flashback, like those YouTube videos where you get a sneak peek of like a funny moment, you know, before the video starts. It's like, whoa, look. Hank realizes that that's the guy that robbed him on the train, so he turns into the bulk and he beats the shit out of him. The cops show up, start shooting at him, he runs off and We come back to Dr. Klove. I've missed him. I'm sorry. He somehow has Hank's engagement ring, and like, why the fuck does he have it? It was just some random ring. It wasn't like, this is the most priceless ring on the planet. It was just a ring that some dude bought to marry his wife. This dude blows up international monuments. This dude blew up the arch. Why is he stealing Hank's like maybe $5,000 ring? Apparently these two grabbed it off the mugger after he died, who was working for Klove. So Klove is this international supervillain who is blowing up historic monuments, but he also just like hires this random mugger in Chicago to just like steal wallets for him and I guess a ring every once in a while. Why? These two start fighting, and I thought they were doing like an accent at first, but I think they're just not very good at their jobs.
Well, you see, we're taking care of business downtown.
One of them cracks a joke about going swimming with concrete shoes, you know, throw them to the sharks, you know, like an old 20s mob boss, and Klove likes it a little too much. Apparently he's gonna give the ring to his girl, and he's gonna force them to go for a little swim. Anyways, we get yet another sick-ass transition where we find Hank, and I guess he gooed himself a little, poor guy. Oh. It's the next morning as the police show up with his wallet, and they also just wanted to ask him a few questions, you know?
When were you born?
They give him his wallet back with no further questions, and you know, they head on out. We cut to the cops, and apparently this guy's name is Garton. Garton is convinced that Hank murdered the thief because he noticed that Hank somehow knew that the guy died, even though the cops never mentioned that. He also noticed the purple goo. You know, he had like purple goo on his hand at the crime scene, and he somehow related that to Hank. And you know, I get being sussed out about Hank knowing that the thief died, right? That's like a pretty specific thing to know. But how could they possibly correlate the purple goo? I know Hank had some on him, but he put on a shirt before he answered the door. Is this just a common thing with criminals here? Yeah, we can always tell who the criminal is by the goo they leave. And this guy's got purple goo written all over him. For some reason, later on in the day, Hank goes back to the scene of the crime and gets confronted by the cops, because why the fuck did he go there? He gets confronted by the cops, who almost immediately decide to shoot him, so he morphs into the bulk. He starts bulking out, they start blasting. It's a tale as old as time in the city of Chicago. I'm just pretending this is in Chicago, they never actually say. He sprints off with his weird little run, and we get this epic chase sequence. He's still running, you know, the cops are chasing him, and we get this news chopper following him, and the camera guy's like, come on, we need to get closer. Come on, we gotta get him. They start flying in, you know, chaos, right? He's breaking cars left and right. He's breaking a telephone booth that for some reason is in the US. He's running away. The cops are chasing him, still shooting at him, and he's breaking more and more shit. This chase sequence goes on for like a solid 3 minutes, by the way. A lot of it is just reused assets from earlier. Like, they will just reverse the shot that holy shit, Tuttle died. Oh, no, they killed her. She's crushed by a car. Rest in peace, Tuttle. You either bulk or get bulked. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world. Anyways, the news chopper is still trying to get close, waiting to get that perfect shot of him so they can get on the nightly news, but suddenly the amazing bulk grabs the chopper. They decided to go with a real dude for this scene and just look at it. I don't know why they do this, because this is the only scene in the entire movie that is a real dude, but it just felt like one of those SpongeBob cutaway gags where there's like suddenly real hands, you know? I don't know how to describe it, but it was like an actual jump scare when I saw this for the first time. Anyways, he takes down the chopper and he gets stopped by Garton. Garton almost immediately executes the guy, but is out of bullets, so he just knocks him out. We come to with Hank in a prison where he gives a monologue about how long he's been in prison.
I've lost track of time in this prison. 10 days could have passed, or 10 years. I can't tell the difference.
Dude, it's been like 5 minutes. Chill out, man. Garton shows up and Hank tries to apologize, but the cop has decided that Hank deserves the death penalty and just pulls out his gun and tries to shoot him in the jail cell. Like, this dude thinks he's the Punisher or something. I don't know, wrong Marvel movie, man. Right before Garton pulls the trigger, though, we get the general who shows up to rescue him. I think? I don't know.
What's up, Doc?
Hank gets carted off to a top secret facility that isn't the one that they were doing the serum in. I mean, it's the government. They have multiple top secret facilities, whatever. And apparently, according to the general, Hank absolutely destroyed the city. You know those 4 cars and that telephone booth? The city's decimated. They're never gonna recover. Instead of executing him, the general wants to use him as a weapon. He wants to use them as their secret ultimate weapon. Hank, obviously upset by this, starts bulking out with his foam Hulk hand that they painted purple, but they sedate him just in time so he doesn't fully bulk out. We cut back to Dr. Klove, who has decided he doesn't want to waste his time with historical monuments anymore. Probably because he blew them all up already. But no. he has something way more sinister. He is going to blow up the moon. We get a shot of him launching his rocket, which is just like footage of the Challenger or some shit, and he blows up the moon. Or no, he doesn't. Okay, I don't really know what's happening anymore. There's like a satellite and it keeps going like back and forth, like it'll dock and then they'll reverse the footage. I think it's another euphemism for sex. I have no idea, man. I didn't make the movie. This scene of them doing this with different satellites goes on for like a full 3 minutes. Like, okay, whatever. If you want to do some stupid euphemism about sex because you're too lazy to make like an actual creative joke about it, that's cool. But we get it, man. When do you blow up the moon? I guess they don't yet, because we cut back to Hank in the secret government lab. Hank is like incredibly angry at the general for some reason. I get that he's mad that the government is wanting to experiment on him. You know, I probably wouldn't want that either. But he literally injected himself with it. The general even calls him a moron for it.
No one expected you to inject yourself with a serum. That was idiotic of you.
Yeah, I agree.
Why would you do that and then expect them to do anything else? You were making the serum for the government. The general relays to him that they actually have the antidote to cure Hank, and the general peeks the fuck out of his mic.
But during the test, we found an antidote. So it'd be wise to get serious.
Basically, they need Hank to go stop Dr. Klove because he keeps blowing up all our stuff. Once he stops Klove forever, they will give him the antidote and he can be a normal person again. That sounds like a pretty good deal. Hank, of course, has to agree. So he goes off. We cut to Hank in the chopper flying over there, and is that Mizkif? That guy kind of looks like Mizkif. Come on, it kind of looks like him. Hank drops out of the chopper into Klove territory and somehow lives from that fall. He just dropped a solid 100 feet and is totally fine. Okay, he pulls out a piece of paper and starts on his quest to find the secret castle of Dr. Klove. We suddenly transition back to a random new rocket in space. This wasn't shown in any of the other 3 minutes of satellite docking. I think it's still Klove's. I don't know. We get a solid minute of this random rocket flying over and landing on the moon, and Klove's like, all right, it's go time, click, and instead of blowing up the moon, it's a monkey. Okay, I don't know. Dr. Klove rages, and we cut back to Hank. Hank goes on his grand journey to the castle, and we get these beautiful shots of him traveling. We get some of the shittiest backgrounds I have ever seen, and I kind of love that they're just throwing every asset they can on his journey. Like, what's with the leprechaun? Who's he? What's his story? Once he gets there, he realizes he needs to rage to beat Dr. Klove, right? So to get him angry enough to morph into the Bulk, he pulls out a picture of the fucking general. And, you know, to be fair, I feel like if most people pulled out a picture of their father-in-law, they'd get a little angry. So, you know, this is pretty fair. This part's pretty fair. He starts running at the castle, and can you imagine this thing running at you? Like, just picture yourself standing there, and all of a sudden, this guy just starts running at you. I'd be scared. Hank scares off the guards and makes it inside, and Klove shouts out that he's going to release his secret weapon. It's a giant stone ball. I don't know. I mean, come on. You have rockets, and your secret weapon is a giant ball of rock. Hank narrowly escapes the giant stone ball. A devious trap, by the way. And he's just yelling at this guard for like 30 seconds. I don't know. He ends up eventually stomping on the guard. Then we get a genuine Family Guy cutaway with Dr. Klove.
This is worse than the time the flying saucer broke down and that little green alien came to the door asking to use their phone.
This movie is amazing. Like, why did they do that? Anyways, immediately after this, we get the lady again, who is blindfolded for some reason. I don't know, I guess she's getting a little freaky. And she runs into the Bulk, and she thinks it's Dr. Klove, her husband, boyfriend, whatever. And holy shit, okay, I think she's gonna suck his Bulk. She takes out the blindfold, you know, you'd expect her to go like, oh my god, it's the Bulk, this is my husband. But she still thinks it's her husband and gets a little into it.
What have you done to your face? I love it!
Hank, not loving this, kills her in the head. You know, it just straight up kills her in the head. She's dead. That rhymed. That was awesome. We get a random cut after that punch to genuinely the most baffling shot in this movie. Neither of these characters exist. I don't know who this goblin is. I have nothing else to say. What the fuck? We go back to Klove trying to run away, but unfortunately for him, he runs into the Bulk. We get our grand cinematic finale, and okay, he just kind of steps on him. Dr. Klove is dead. We keep going, and Hank tells the general that he killed Klove.
Look, I've eliminated Klove and his men.
Did he just call him love? Can I say that word on YouTube? I don't know, I'm probably just gonna censor it, but whatever. The general gets word Hank won, and in the biggest betrayal in cinematic history, we learned that the general lied to him. Oh, they start dropping bombs on him to try to kill him because the general's evil. We get this massive lore drop while Hank's running away. Apparently the general never had the funds from the government to fund their little project, their experiment, and he was actually getting all of the funding money from Dr. Klove, who was funding it in hopes of curing his ED. That is the actual line in the movie, but I'm sure you didn't need me to convince you of that. And we get into my favorite part of the movie. We get this giant chase sequence of Bulk running away. He's like traveling the globe, I guess, to the fucking Lone Ranger song. And lucky for me, there's no copyright on this song, so I can put it here. I think they're just throwing every free asset they could find because it gets to a point where I don't even know what's happening anymore. But I think what it is the general starts sending everything he has at him. Archer on wall, Soldier 2, Gecko on laptop, the Red Baron, he's back. But none of this is stopping him. The Bulk's still on the run. Not even the general's pirate ship or his soccer guy. He sends a generic superhero, helicopter, fucking Zeus. I didn't know he was on payroll. They send in a submarine, a train, a pioneer, super dog, cowboy, until all of a sudden we get the POV of this random Air Force guy. Oh, also we get this Gecko who is in fact a gecko. Look at his little laptop. It says it right there. The Air Force guy drops a bomb right onto Bulk that has a guy on it for some reason. I guess they didn't have an asset of just a bomb falling. Also, this bomb drops for like a solid 30 seconds. They really needed to use that shot, I guess. The bomb finally hits and holy shit, they nuked him. They fully nuked him. Oh my god, and it got the dog too? Why? The general tells Hannah that unfortunately Hank died in the process. If she turns around and looks, she can actually see it on the screen. It's still going. It's actually still, the bomb's still going off. Hannah is obviously distraught, but we cut away to her asleep at night and holy shit, Hank's alive. Hank made it out. He lived the nuke. They sit down, they start catching up. He proposes with the ring he stole back from that dead woman, you know, that he killed earlier. And she says, yes, we might actually get a happy ending after all. She tries to go tell her dad, ecstatic at the news, and he tells her the truth. She's shocked, and she almost doesn't believe him until the general comes in and starts attacking him.
I hate dust.
But we get this really climactic fight on the balcony. They're struggling, they're fighting, they're trying to shove each other, and they both fall off the balcony. We get another transition to Hannah at Hank's grave. Our valiant hero died from that fall. She gives a little grieving speech about how much she's gonna miss him, and we find out that the general died too, so they're both dead from that fall. She walks off, and we get a somber ending to a beautiful movie. Wait, no, Garton's back too. Okay, he's back. Garton angrily pisses on his grave and starts yelling about how he killed his partner, and all of a sudden the ground starts shaking, and I guess it's the piss of revival because Hank comes out, 2 hands are ready, and smashes Garton. Garton's dead, and the movie ends. Right when the punches hit, it goes to black and we get the credits. This might be the best movie ever produced. I mean, the cinematography, the acting, the lighting, not to mention the beautiful CG and VFX. I don't know if this movie could ever be topped. This was genuinely a 10 out of 10 movie. In all seriousness, I actually had a lot of fun watching this movie. Yes, it is objectively a bad movie with a shitty plot and no cohesion between the scenes. But did you really click on the amazing Bulk hoping for a good story? Come on. I'm also half convinced this is supposed to be a parody of some sort, especially once we got to the end and they just started throwing every single asset that they had in shitty green screen. And also at the beginning when they had all the different movie logos. But I'm honestly not sure what they were parodying at a certain point, which is really my only complaint with this movie is if you're gonna do a parody thing like this, while I like subtle nods and stuff like that, I feel like there needs to be more cohesion on what you're parodying and not just every scene as a parody of something else that you kind of thought of. It doesn't flow as well as you'd hope, you know? All in all, this movie is a hilarious mess of a fun time, and that's really all I can expect out of a movie like this. You know, I'm just glad it wasn't a boring snooze fest like most of these ripoffs are, and you can just kind of tell that a lot of fun was had when making this movie into the way that it is. I just want to say, I genuinely enjoyed this 10 times more than the last like 3 Marvel movies. They're so boring. Nothing happens. With that being said, my name is Prisk, that's Reggie, don't look at him, and I'll see you in another video.